We are looking at a truly massive shift today.
Yeah, you see a late-night OK Boomer post, you add in a few drinks from Sam Altman. It really just seems like standard social media drama. But it actually exposes a massive hidden crisis. It reveals the new, brutal economics of AI.
Welcome to the deep dive. Beat, I am genuinely glad you are joining us.
It is great to be here. We have a lot of ground to cover.
There's just so much noise in Silicon Valley. People get distracted by superficial online arguments. But our mission today is entirely different.
Right, we are ignoring the petty gossip.
Exactly. We are cutting straight through that surface noise. We want to understand the real infrastructure war. It is happening right beneath our feet.
And it is completely reshaping how you will work.
We are tracking a connected chain of events today. First, an accidental Anthropic price panic. That exposed OpenAI's incredibly aggressive predatory pricing response.
Which revealed a total industry pivot. Tech giants are absolutely desperate to launch always-on AI agents.
Right, and that shift is literally splitting hardware. The physical chips are being completely redesigned to support this.
It is a massive physical transition.
And finally, it all ends with a dangerous measurement crisis. The industry is falling for something called tokenmaxxing. Burning compute is the new, dangerous proxy for employee value.
That last point is absolutely mind-blowing. It's completely warping software engineering.
Let us start by looking at that human drama. It accidentally revealed a massive technical bottleneck. Anthropic recently triggered an absolute riot among developers.
They really stepped on a landmine with this one.
Well, so they accidentally pushed a major update to their docs. The update suggested Claude Code was moving pricing tiers. It was jumping from the $20 Pro plan. It was suddenly moving to a $100 Max tier.
That is a 5 times price increase happening overnight. I mean, imagine building your whole startup on their API. Waking up to that is absolutely terrifying.
Anthropic's head of growth had to step in immediately. Amol Avasar desperately walked back the documentation change.
He was definitely doing damage control.
He claimed it was only a test for 2% of users.
Right, but the other 98% still panicked entirely. The trust was already severely damaged in their minds.
This is exactly where Sam Altman entered the conversation. He replied to the unfolding drama with some late-night posts. He dropped a very blunt "okay, boomer" on social media.
He even admitted he was having a few drinks. It was a very public, incredibly messy dunk on a rival.
OpenAI's leadership doubled down on the threat immediately. They explicitly promised that Codex will remain on the free plan. They also guaranteed it stays on the $20 plus plan.
They basically boxed Anthropic into a massive financial corner.
But the real story is much deeper than a tweet. Anthropic eventually admitted their older plans were breaking. They simply were not built for the reality of 2026.
The technological landscape totally shifted under their feet.
The core issue driving this is long horizon sessions. Let us clarify what that means for a second.
Yeah, that is an important concept to define.
These are AI tasks that run continuously in the background for hours.
Exactly. They are not just answering a single quick question anymore. They just keep working autonomously while you sleep.
But maintaining those nonstop sessions is incredibly expensive. It is literally bleeding Anthropic's profit margins dry.
You just cannot offer unlimited background compute for $20. The raw server costs are way too high.
The math just does not work for an independent startup.
It really does not.
This is where OpenAI's actual strategy becomes very obvious. They are backed by massive Microsoft-linked infrastructure. They are using this specific moment to predatory price Anthropic out entirely.
It is a very clear, very aggressive corporate threat. OpenAI can absolutely afford to lose money on $20 coders. They just want to keep you locked inside their ecosystem.
Think of it like offering an all-you-can-eat restaurant buffet. You originally priced the buffet for average, everyday diners,
Right.
But suddenly your customers are professional, competitive eaters. Beat. The business model completely breaks under that kind of volume.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. OpenAI actually owns the massive farm supplying the buffet. Anthropic has to buy all their food at expensive retail prices.
They are getting crushed by the supply chain.
It really is a brutal game of survival now.
I have to ask, is OpenAI's strategy actually sustainable, or is this just a temporary flex of Microsoft's wallet?
It is a temporary flex to starve the competition before raising prices later.
That makes total sense, and that leads perfectly into the next major shift.
Yeah, the hardware pivot.
Running these always-on agents is financially brutal right now. So how are these tech giants possibly justifying this massive expense?
By completely rewiring their entire corporate ecosystems. They are changing their hardware to make agents the default standard.
We are seeing major fundamental shifts in their product offerings. OpenAI effectively killed off their custom GPTs recently.
Which is huge. People really loved building those custom bots.
They did. But OpenAI launched Codex-powered Workspace Agents instead. These new agents handle complex tasks for entire teams, and they operate nonstop, even when you are completely offline.
Google is pushing the exact same strategy right now. At Google Cloud Next, they announced major workspace updates.
They are trying to make AI your new office intern.
Exactly. Google also launched a massive new investment fund. It is a dedicated $750 million initiative.
They want to push AI agents into real, traditional businesses.
And they are partnering with massive consulting players to do it. Firms like McKinsey, Accenture, and Deloitte are leading the charge.
They are forcing enterprise adoption from the top down. But to make that affordable, they have to fix the hardware.
Yeah, the physical chips.
Google is splitting its entire AI chip strategy into two distinct paths.
This is a direct, calculated attack on NVIDIA's dominance.
It really is.
Yeah.
One physical chip path is dedicated solely to training models. The other path is designed strictly for running inference.
Right. Training requires massive, power-hungry clusters of data centers. But inference just needs to be fast, cheap, and everywhere.
This physical split promises much faster performance for everyday agents. Meanwhile, Microsoft is also making massive physical infrastructure moves.
They are pouring $18 billion into Australian data centers.
They are drastically boosting their AI capabilities across that entire region.
$18 billion is just a staggering physical commitment.
They're literally laying the digital pipes for the next century.
It is a huge bet on an agent-driven future.
But despite these billions spent, consumer reality is seriously lagging. The grand corporate promises rarely match our daily lived experience.
It can still feel incredibly frustrating to actually use.
For instance, you can now order Starbucks through ChatGPT.
Yeah, I saw that.
But honestly, most regular users are not very impressed. It sounds like a really cool, futuristic idea in theory, but the actual ordering experience still feels clunky and slow.
Ordering a simple coffee should not require a massive neural network.
There are also some very serious security growing pains happening. Anthropic is currently probing a possible breach of its Mythos model.
We should probably clarify what Mythos is really quickly.
Go ahead.
It is Anthropic's newest foundational AI model architecture.
Exactly. And this potential breach happened via a third-party vendor system?
Thankfully, no core structural systems have been compromised yet. But corporate security concerns are rising rapidly over these powerful tools.
Consumer wins definitely exist, but they remain remarkably simple. For example, using 12 specific AI prompts to handle weekly meal prep.
Oh yeah, that is a great use case.
Planning the menu, building shopping lists, and prepping takes minutes. It is honestly a brilliant way to save hours.
Those simple, targeted workflows are where the real value lives right now.
I agree completely. In fact, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself when these agents run too long.
It is super common.
The AI just slowly wanders off the original task entirely.
Right. You ask for a quick summary, and you get a fantasy novel.
It requires constant human supervision to stay on the rails.
Which completely defeats the purpose of an autonomous background agent.
It really does. So why split the chips into training versus inference now?
Training builds the brain while inference runs it, making everyday agents radically cheaper. Just one, sir.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
We have been talking about some massive infrastructure changes.
We have established that these continuous agents are incredibly expensive to run. They are always on and heavily subsidized by massive tech companies.
The tech giants are bleeding billions just to keep us hooked.
This leads to a truly massive management problem for companies. How do managers know if they are actually getting real value?
It is a huge blind spot.
Right now, they are measuring the absolute worst possible metric.
They are aggressively optimizing for all the wrong technical outcomes.
We have officially entered what is called the Slop KPI era.
That is such a perfectly depressing name for a corporate trend.
The engineering industry is calling this specific mindset Tokenmaxxing.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of token burn is becoming a dangerous proxy for employee value.
NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, made a wild statement about this recently.
He did. He stated he would be deeply alarmed by a specific scenario. He would be worried if a $500,000 engineer did not burn massive compute. He expects them to burn $250,000 in compute tokens.
He's literally demanding that his engineers burn massive amounts of server juice. If they are not burning tokens, he thinks they are not working.
The newsletter drew a brilliant, sobering analogy about this broken mindset. It is the Everclear versus fine wine comparison.
This perfectly captures why the current system is so deeply flawed.
Everclear is a cheap grain alcohol that is 95% alcohol. A 1937 Domaine de la Romane Conti is only about 13% alcohol.
One is purely cheap fuel. The other is a complex masterpiece.
Exactly. But if your only metric is that more equals better, the grain alcohol wins. The cheap antiseptic grade alcohol is technically 7 times superior to the vintage wine.
Tokenmaxxing treats nuanced AI output exactly like cheap alcohol by volume.
If a meta-engineer lands at the top of the token leaderboard, what does it mean? Are they actually a highly productive, visionary software genius? Or did they just ask the AI to translate War and Peace into Hellenic Greek 80,000 times?
Wow. Yeah, they're just spamming the data centers to guarantee their annual bonus.
Beyond the terrible performance metrics, there is a severe technical cost. This corporate obsession with sheer volume creates something called context bloat.
It is clogging the pipes and slowing everything down across the board.
Let us define context bloat clearly so we understand the mechanical problem. It means stuffing massive unneeded data dumps into the AI before tasks start.
You are basically blinding the smart model with entirely useless information.
We see this clearly when people connect AI to enterprise systems. They connect it to their company networks via MCP.
Which is a universal translator letting AI read your private databases.
Then they recklessly dump entire massive Salesforce databases into the prompt window.
Whoa, imagine scaling to 1 billion queries, just burning through server farms for a metric.
2-sec silence. It is incredibly wasteful. Think about judging a novelist by the physical weight of their typewriter ribbon.
That makes no sense.
You are ignoring the actual story they wrote entirely.
But that is exactly what is happening in enterprise tech right now. Volume is replacing vision.
We clearly need a much better way to measure actual tangible value. A systems thinker named Lannon proposed a compelling solution to fight the Tokenmaxxer.
I really like his approach.
He calls his new measurement framework the Slop Index.
The Slop Index aggressively focuses on human quality over pure compute volume.
It focuses on measuring neurons instead of counting artificial tokens. It values actual human thought rather than raw server compute cycles.
But applying this index requires one very expensive, unpredictable piece of hardware.
It requires a human being in the loop. The Slop Index asks the only questions that actually matter for a business.
Right. Did this specific digital output actually solve a real human problem today?
How does a company actually transition from measuring tokens to measuring neurons?
They must stop praising volume and start auditing the actual human business outcomes.
Let us bring all of these complex threads together now. We started this journey with what looked like petty, late-night social media drama.
Just a couple of billionaires arguing online over a $100 price tag.
But that tiny public crack revealed the true hidden state of AI today. Tech giants are quietly subsidizing an enormous ecosystem of always-on background agents.
They are fundamentally rewiring global data center hardware just to support this vision.
The physical infrastructure shift is permanent. There is simply no going back now.
It is the new normal.
But we are falling into a massive, dangerous trap along the way. If we embrace tokenmaxxing, we completely destroy the underlying value of the tool.
Absolutely.
If we measure success by how much server juice we burn, we fail. We just end up mass-producing an endless ocean of digital slop.
We absolutely have to measure the final outcome, not just the mechanical effort.
Which brings us to a final provocative thought for you to deeply consider. AI compute is rapidly becoming a perfectly subsidized, endless, cheap commodity.
OpenAI and Google are aggressively ensuring it remains cheap through their brutal price wars.
The massive server farms will keep humming no matter what happens next.
They are not turning those machines off anytime soon.
If that raw compute power is infinite and practically free, something else shifts fundamentally. Pure human thought becomes the absolute rarest asset on the entire planet.
That is profound.
Those natural neurons we talked about from the Slop Index framework, they quietly become the most expensive, highly sought-after premium asset in the world.
That is a truly wild paradigm shift to think about. Your genuine human insight is the very last bottleneck remaining.
Beat. So the ultimate question remains, how are you protecting your neurons? Thank you for exploring the deep dive with us today. Out to your own music.